Her name is Isla Caton, battling a cancer called neuroblastoma now. And I want to try and if I've got anything to do with it, try and raise a bit of awareness. Even if all you do is, because we always have it in the description below YouTube and Facebook, which people can copy and paste. And I always say to people, even if all you do is copy and paste it and put it on your social media platform and put a little note on it as to what the appeal is about.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Hammers Fans United and welcome back to one from each team. We already know the concept by now. This is the third edition and I am joined by a very special guest. Now, I said that when it was Charlie Boy and I meant it. I said it when it was Fever and I meant it. And once again, I mean it with this guy. He's doing very well on YouTube. He's working hard. He's putting in the hours and his subscribers, is testament to that. He's close to 1,000 subscribers. So, like I said before, I'm always trying to, promote anybody that comes on my channel. I do try and promote them as much as I can. I'm not really, too serious about YouTube and I'm not really too serious about my subscribers. But, if I got the chance to try and, enhance guest subscriptions, then of course that's what I'm going to do. So, I'm going to pass you over to my guest and then he's going to introduce his channel and what his channel is all about. And then we're going to get cracking with the one from each team. So over to you, Gatesy from Forged from Iron, West Ham United.
Thanks for the introduction there, Titch. Okay, yeah, so for the benefit of those of you watching that are thinking, who the hell's this? My name's Gatesy. I am one of the co-creators of a West Ham fan YouTube channel called Forged from Iron West Ham United, to give it its full title, or just Forged from Iron if you prefer. And we started in February. There's another guy called Duke who is the manager of a pub in the Dartford Borough area, and we both kind of had the idea at the same time. And I don't think I had the thought floating around in my head about doing a YouTube channel, but I didn't want to do it on my own. And quite coincidentally, he phoned me up out of the blue. It was almost like he must have heard, voices in his head or something like that, because he phoned me up and said, "I've got an idea. How about doing a YouTube channel?" And I was like, "It's funny you should say that." And we've been going since February and had a lot of fun along the way. It's very hard work. I don't think people appreciate just what effort goes into running a YouTube channel, but a lot of people think you just sort of like sit in front of a webcam and chat away. There's so much more to it than that, as I've learned. Thumbnails and making sure that everything sort of like you got the right tags and that your content is relevant and up to date and all the rest of it. And yeah, we are currently, last I looked, at 917 subscribers. We need obviously another 83. Yep, 83 to hit 1,000. And then obviously certain little nuggets that YouTube can unlock become available to us. So if any of you are watching and you've not subscribed to the channel, it would really be a massive help if you could just give us your support and just give us a subscribe, even if you never actually watched our content, although I obviously I encourage you to do so. It would help us out tremendously, and we would really appreciate
it. Thanks, Gatesy, and yeah, I'll say it again before we get into it. Please check out his channel, and he's very busy, he's very up to date, and he's very knowledgeable on what's going on. Live streams quite often, and anybody that doesn't know about how the live streams work is you can get involved in the comments. Sometimes you might even get invited, to come onto the stream as well. You don't have to be a YouTuber per se. So it's good to interact with YouTubers and Gatesy, and they give you that option to, interact with people that are, with their ears to the ground when it comes to West Ham and, football in general, England as well. So yeah, that's that intro done, and I'm going to try and talk less because I know I talk too much. And yeah, we're going to try and get through this a bit quicker. So, we're going to follow the same format. And I might just move on and then, reevaluate once the subs are done and whatnot. So with that being said, we are ready to jump into this. Now, what I do need to say is, because I need to put something on the screen. Last week, James Fever sent me his squad. And he done it, normal, just sent me a text message. Boom, boom, boom. That's it, mate. Gatesy went very professional, very Gatesy-esque. He's taking this seriously. He sent me a squad. He's had numbers. And, I'm going to put this on the screen when I edit the video just to show you the level of Gatesy's commitment to the call. So
devil's in the detail, Titch.
Yeah,
in the detail.
I'm going to show you what Fever sent me, and which was literally this club, this player. That's it, mate. That's what he said. That's my squad. And then Gatesy, he was very comprehensive, very in depth, very professional. And I think it sort of epitomizes this guy who, he's doing everything to put out the right content and make it as pleasing on the eye as possible. And he done that even in his squad selection. So I will put that on the screen when I edit this, and you lot will see from Fever's the message he sent me with his squad to Gatesy. So salute to you, Gatesy. That was a bit of work went into that. And because of that, problem. I need to put that on the screen just to show people this guy is serious. Right, so we're gonna 6 minutes, not too bad. We're gonna get straight into it now, Gatesy. So before let me we're gonna start with your bench, obviously, and on that bench, we just have to have one goalkeeper. You tell me where we're gonna go first for your first substitute, and I'll put them on the screen.
We are gonna go into deepest, darkest Lancashire, and we're gonna head to another claret and blue wearing football team, that of Burnley, for my goalkeeper, which is Mr. Nicholas Pope, England goalkeeper.
Yeah. So why have you picked him as your?
Well, I've got to be honest. Obviously, the concept it's. In general, sort of like it's quite interesting that I've got to pick a player from every single club. So you're trying to balance it and all the rest of it. So I sort of like sat there and thought, right, Burnley, who would I like to have from Burnley? And with no disrespect to Burnley are not one of these teams that are. They're not sort of like a stellar name. They're not a Manchester United. They're not a Manchester City. You don't really look at their players and generally think that they're anything other than a workmanlike team. I'm not being disrespectful to Burnley. They obviously have to cut their cloth accordingly. Their budget is quite limited, so they have to do what they have to do. And they've survived in the Premier League for 9 years now, I think it is, something like that. So all due respect to them, but their goalkeeper Nick Pope, in my opinion, is one of their best players. I actually said that before the last European Championships, and obviously he got an injury in the run up to it, which put him out of the equation. But if I'd have been picking the England squad, I'd have had him as England's number one.
Okay. What I will say is very quickly is Charlie Weir put him as his starting keeper. Fever had him on his bench, and Gatesy's got him in his bench. So in the third edition, 3 people have all picked Nick Pope. That's what I'm going to say. Where are we going to go next, Gatesy, for your second sub?
We are going to go to somewhere that's not too far from you, and not a million miles away from me. Yeah. We're going to go to SE25. We're going to go to Crystal Palace, and we're going to go and we're going to put on the bench a young fullback by the name of Tyrick Mitchell.
Okay, explain. Again, all the players,
Again, I've got to pick someone from Crystal Palace. I could have picked Wilfried Zaha. He's the obvious one. But, I wanted to get a young defender in there, and I looked at Tyrick Mitchell, and he ticked all the boxes for me. He's a young, energetic, exciting fullback. He's still learning his trade. This is his 3rd season. He's sort of like he's making a name for himself, and he's someone I think has got a big future ahead of him. So Tyrick Mitchell is on the substitutes bench.
And he's a right back, isn't he?
He is, yes.
Yeah. Right. Okay, so that's good. All right. Third sub, which club, first of all?
We are going into the Midlands. We're going to Wolverhampton Wanderers.
Wolves up.
There they are. Okay, so now this guy is again he's an England international. I believe he's their club captain. His name's Connor Cody.
Yeah.
Again, solid, reliable, a very good defender, and someone that is one of Wolves. I mean, you know, he was in the team that got promoted from the Championship, and he stayed there. He's been a constant throughout their time as a Premier League player. Very very underrated defender in my opinion. You know, could easily have made the starting 11 potentially, but you'll see when you look at my starting centre backs, you'll sort of go, well, yeah, fair enough, you know. But for him to be sort of like behind the players that I've selected is no slight on him whatsoever. Connor Cody, very very good centre back, and he is my representative from Wolverhampton Wanderers.
Right, great pick. I know where you're going next, so let me just put them on, and we're going to Watford.
We are going to Watford. Now, this is a player that was a bit of a thorn in our side for many years when he plied his trade at a certain club a little way along from us on the North Circular Road, Tottenham Hotspur. He left there in the summer on a free, went to Watford, left fullback, England international, and I still think that he's someone that maybe we should have been looking at as either cover for Cresswell or someone to actually supersede him. But we didn't. He ended up at Vicarage Road, and his name is Danny Rose.
Former England international.
Very good defender, also very good offensively. You know, he gets forward to good effect. And, you know, I think he, like I say, in my opinion, I think that he's a player that I'd have been quite happy if he'd have turned up at London Stadium. Wouldn't have been, on a free. That would have been brilliant, brilliant business. That would have been, but wasn't to be. He's ended up, you know, Watford's gain is our loss. Yep. But there you go.
All right, so you tell me where we're going, and just let me get them on the screen before you say the player.
We are going to the south coast. We are going to Brighton and Hove Albion.
Oh, sorry, I nearly picked bloody Southampton. 1 sec. I nearly picked. Yeah,
you can edit that bit out.
Nah, it's fine. It's fine. Right, here we go. Brighton.
Here we go. Brighton and Hove Albion. Again, I've got to pick a player from here. Honestly, this concept is a lot more difficult than people that are watching it might think it is. You know, it's like it seems easy when you're not doing it, but when you're in the hot seat and it's like I've got to pick a team, and you've got to try and make the team as competitive as possible. It's no good just putting a team of, you know, cobbling it all together, and then you sort of realize actually that would never work in a million years.
Exactly.
You know, the blend isn't right, whatever. I've tried to make this as competitive a squad as possible whilst picking a player from each squad in the Premier League. So I've ended up picking a midfielder who a lot of people have said that should Declan Rice move on, this is a guy that maybe we ought to be looking at as his replacement, and his name is Yves Bissouma. Very energetic, combative, you know, covers an awful lot of ground for Brighton and Hove Albion, and I absolutely agree with the people that say that maybe he's someone that could be Declan Rice's replacement if and when we should decide to cash in.
You know, I kind of forgot about him when Fever and Charlie Boy done this. Charlie Boy picked Mopey and Fever picked Tariq Lamptey. Now,
fair enough.
I just thought, you know, Lamptey is a class player. So I don't know why I forgot about Bissouma. I think I saw an article today where Bissouma said he feels he's the best in that position in the Premier League. Don't quote me on that, but he is an exceptional player, man. So if West Ham got him and money and, you know, for Rice, like,
yeah,
you know, like obviously sold Rice for whatever, bought him, but still had cash over. That would be great business. He's a great player, and you know that's a great pick. And I don't know why I kind of just, when we done the last two editions, I kind of just forgot about this guy.
Yeah,
he's great.
He's a player that I think could quite easily go under the radar. So you know, but when I sort of looked again, it's trying to balance it all. You know, I need to get a player from Brighton. Who do I get? I could get this player. I could get that player, but you know, with the composition of the squad that I've gone for and what I'm trying to achieve, Yves Bissouma again, he stood out for me. So straight in.
That's a great pick. Right. Just I haven't looked at my phone. Just tell me what club first, please, Gatesy. Let me put him on the screen.
Little way along the A27 from Brighton. We're going west. Yes, we're going west from Brighton. We're going into Hampshire and we're going to Southampton.
Right. Before we go any further, also subscribe to Gatesy and Fulshine through his geographical knowledge. He will help you if you're stuck in a jam in Oldham somewhere. He'll tell you which route to take. So clearly he knows his geography as well. So yeah, Fulsham Iron is also a geographical
sat nav.
Yeah. You know what? I do know your score, but I don't. But this seems to be the obvious choice. I do know you did pick him. Who is it? Sorry.
I picked Southampton's captain, their midfield dynamo, their conductor, James Ward-Prowse. Again, a player that could actually have, in theory, made my starting 11. He didn't. And when you see the players that I put there, some people might argue and say, well, no, I think I'd have put him there instead. Whatever. This, like I say, I'm trying to make this as strong a squad as possible. You know, exactly. Starting 11 and the subs that, in theory, if they were called upon, could come in and change the game. You know, pose different questions of an opposition if the game's not quite going according to plan. And James Ward-Prowse, again, he's another player that is so integral to Ralph Hasenhüttl's team. You know, he's the heartbeat. He is Southampton Football Club. You know, he's everything basically goes, all their attacking moves go through him. He's got a wand of a peg, you know, put it into the top corner. Really good player. Again, England international, and a player that I, again, if he was to turn up at London Stadium, I mean, there's not, I don't really think that in this squad there's a player that I can honestly say, if they turned up at London Stadium, that I'd be like, oh no, I'm not too sure about them. There's not a player here that I would actually turn my nose up at. So that's the acid test for me.
Yeah, and you know, just like I said, I don't want to elaborate, but what I will say is that he's been picked in all three of these squads so far, and he's been on the bench at all of the three squads, but everybody's of the same opinion that, you know, like he could potentially make their starting team, and you know, he's a quality player. So I said Southampton, realistically, now that Ings is gone, it's probably going to be Ward-Prowse for a lot of people that come on the show and do this.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a great pick. Where are we going, Gatesy, for your?
Well, we're going as far away from Southampton in the Premier League as it's possible to get and still be in England. We're going to Newcastle.
I told you. See, Newcastle. We're going to Newcastle.
We're going Newcastle, boy.
Newcastle. They're right.
Why? And I'm picking again. This is a player that is one of Steve Bruce's main players. If he's fit, if he's firing, he will be in the starting 11, absolutely no shadow of doubt. And he's a player that when he's turned up at London Stadium, he's always been a player that stood out to me. He's always been a player that I've looked at and gone, oh bloody hell, you know, we need to really shackle this guy, because if we don't, he'll tear us to shreds. And his name is Alan Saint-Maximin.
Yep. Once again, he's, you know, 3 weeks in a row that he's been picked. For me, he is Newcastle's best player. So it's only natural that with this format that most people are going to pick him unless they need, you know, a defender or something like for their last pick or whatever it may be. But generally, yeah, he's their best player. And yeah, I would have him in my squad as well. So yeah, I don't want to say too much because we've spoken about him 3 weeks in a row now. Where are we going now, Dixie?
We're going to Norfolk, my loves. We're going to Norfolk. We're going to Norwich City.
Oh, Norwich.
The Canaries.
Okay, I'll leave it to you.
I was torn. There was a couple of players that I could have legitimately put in. And I actually sent you a message, didn't I, Titch, saying,
so you on the camera, who were the ones that you might have, before you get to who you did, who was you thinking of? And then, yeah.
Well, one player that I wanted to put in was Billy Gilmore. And I wasn't sure if I was allowed to do it. So I got confirmation from Titch, can I? Because he's not technically a Norwich player. He's a Chelsea player on loan at Norwich. Titch said I could. I ummed and ahed about it, and in the end, I decided no, I'm actually going to go with a different guy, and he's a guy that I got to be honest with you. I think he probably should have moved on from Norwich maybe a season or two ago, in my opinion. I think he should have moved when they got relegated from the Premier League last time, but he stayed loyal. And you got to give him a little bit of credit for that, because loyalty is a rare commodity in football. So, fair play to him. And his name is Todd Cantwell.
Todd Cantwell. So why did you go for him over Gilmour? It wasn't just the fact that Gilmour's on loan, was it?
No, it wasn't just that. I think that I've seen more of Cantwell than I have of Gilmour. And whilst I've been mighty impressed with what I've seen from Gilmour, I think it's just the consistency that I've seen from Todd Cantwell in terms of his performance over a longer period of time is probably what kind of swayed it for me. But it was a close run thing.
And from what I've seen of both of them, Cantwell is probably going to score you more goals as well, isn't he, than Gilmour?
I'd say he's more of a goal threat. I mean, he's not sort of like super prolific, but he'll chip in with a few, and he's a good creator of attacking moves for Norwich.
All right, so that's the first time Cantwell's been picked. 1 minute. Gatesy, that was your 8th sub. So for your final sub, where are we going first of all?
We are going to just along, not far from Heathrow Airport. We are going to Brentford, Premier League new boys.
Okay.
Now, this is a guy I actually heard on the radio today, and he's a guy that, when people think of Brentford Football Club, he's probably the first name on everybody's lips. So you probably already worked it out. His name is Ivan Toney. He's their goal scorer supreme. I think he got 31 goals in the Championship, if I remember correctly, something like that. And he's come into the Premier League, and he's still scoring goals. So there's always a little bit of a thing. Is a player that's coming into the Premier League for the first time. I mean, I know sort of he had a spell at Newcastle, but I'm talking like, in a proper capacity. He's Brentford's number 9. He's their main goal scorer. Is he going to be able to still do it? Well, so far so good. It's early days, but he's looking good. He's young. He's still got an awful lot of potential to improve and expand on his game. Will he still be at Brentford in another 3-4 years? Probably not. He'll have probably moved on to bigger and better things, with all due respect to Brentford. But that's the Brentford model. They'll get players in of a certain age. They'll get the diamonds in the rough, polish them up, and end up selling them for a profit, and they just keep doing it. And Ivan Toney they got from Peterborough, and obviously they got him from Newcastle. And it's worked. It's absolutely worked. I mean, you look at the strikers that Brentford have got over the last sort of like however many years. Neil, you mentioned one earlier, Neil Maupay. We've got one in Saeed Benrahma. You've got Ollie Watkins at Villa, and they've brought them in from a lower down. They've come in, they've done a job, they've made a profit on them, and then they've gone and got someone else. Ivan Toney again. There could have been the argument for maybe putting him in my starting 11, but I think, in all fairness, when you see my front three, you might look at it and go, do you know what? Actually, I can see why he's possibly on the bench. But do you know what? That is a bloody good substitute to bring on if you need to.
Now, he's been in everybody's squad. I know we've only had 3 editions, and if we're going to be honest, for what this is, he shouldn't make your starting lineup. You understand? He's a great substitute to have, but for this concept, Ivan Toney should not make your starting lineup. So, to have him on the bench and his energy and, he's just prowess and his overall, striking aura almost is that, I agree that he's got a lot of potential to fulfill, and he's on the right path. Every level he's been at, he's scored goals. So he's a great substitute to have, I believe.
Yeah.
So that's 3 out of 3 for Ivan. Right. So that's your final sub. Right. So I always say, now we're going to get into the juicy bit. This is probably what people look forward to the most when they see this. So obviously we're going to start with your goalkeeper. Now you tell me which club he represents. Let me get them on the screen. And
We are
then
going to another team in claret and blue. We're going to the Midlands and we're going to Aston Villa.
there we go. Right. Over to you.
Aston Villa. So their goalkeeper, who in my opinion was actually the best goalkeeper in the Premier League last season, and I know there's a lot of people that agree with me on that. He actually won the FA Cup the season before with Arsenal, and I think a lot of Arsenal fans were shocked when Mikel Arteta let Emiliano Martinez go out the door and kept Bernd Leno. I think a lot of fans were like, surely, move Leno on and keep Martinez. He's clearly the better goalkeeper. But for me, he was absolutely top draw for Villa last season. Superb goalkeeper. And I would, as I say, Nick Pope is also a fantastic goalkeeper. But I think on the basis of last season, I think Martinez just pips it.
Yeah. Just quickly, do you know how much Arsenal sold him for?
I think it was 18 million.
Right. And then they've just gone and spent 30 on Ramsdale.
Mad, isn't it?
Yeah, who they are now trying to make the number one over. Yeah, so what you said is, it doesn't
makes no sense. Makes no sense.
It seems like you know what? Speaking of Arsenal, that means you're the first person that's put Arsenal in their starting lineup. Because the other two didn't. Martinez, great choice. Now we're gonna go to your right back. Which club does he represent?
Well, he represents the team that we came narrowly short against yesterday. He plays for Manchester United, formerly of Crystal Palace, England international. And in my opinion, he's the best defensive right back that England could pick. I know that you've got Kyle Walker. We're quite blessed in right back. We've got Kyle Walker. We've got Reece James. We've got Trent Alexander-Arnold. We've got Kieran Trippier. But in my opinion, Aaron Wan-Bissaka is the best defensive fullback that England could utilise. Best right back. I think that Trent is the better offensive fullback. I think that Kyle Walker is probably the best all-round package. And the other guys obviously have their own sort of like strengths, weaknesses, and all the rest of it. But for me, primarily, I'm a big believer. If you can get your goalkeeper and your back four as strong as possible, it creates a platform for the offensive players in front to be able to, thrive. Because, if you've got a defense that's leakier than a sieve, it doesn't matter how good your forwards are. They're going to be struggling. It's the old saying, strikers win games, but defenses win leagues and cups.
Yeah. And, my partner, Davey, who's also a West Ham fan, and he runs teams and as well as the coaching that we do, but he's very that is always his philosophy, is that you've got to be strongest at the back, you understand? And then you build from there. It's even like any like buildings and structures and stuff, it all starts
from
the
foundations.
So you do need, and that's what I like about Soufal, is that he's a very, very good, I know I'm going off subject, but he's a very, very good defender. And ultimately, you want your defenders, first and foremost, to be good at defending. And then you add the other bit to that. So, Wan-Bissaka, sorry. And you know what? He is good defensively as well. So that's He's not, that's obviously a good pick. And that's your Man United pick. Gone. Right. So, where are we going for let's say your right centre back? Which club?
We're going to their cross city neighbours, Manchester City.
Okay.
Yep. And this is a guy that I think last season I would say he was the best defender in the Premier League last season. I think there's possibly a case to say he may have even been the best player in the Premier League. Ruben Dias. I thought the guy was absolutely phenomenal last season, absolutely brilliant, and was a big part of the reason why Manchester City took the Premier League last season, in my opinion. I mean, he just anything that got sort of through, towards anywhere near sort of like their back line, he was usually there. He was pretty dominant, to be fair. Really impressive debut season in the Premier League.
What? Yeah, I was just about to say, was that his first season? But you've just said so. Yeah, and you know, some players take time to adapt, and clearly he didn't. So the fact that he's jumped straight in and had a massive impact on them, you know, getting that title back for Liverpool speaks testament. And I think Charlie Boy was saying he believes between Varane, Van Dijk, and Diaz, he believes that it's out of those three who's the best in the world. So
I think they're certainly in the conversation.
Yeah, and the reason why that come up is because Charlie Boy had Varane and Van Dijk as his centre back pairing, and I said, "Wow, that's possibly the best." But I kind of overlooked Diaz at the time. So, yeah. With that being said, which club are we going to for your left or you know the other centre back?
We are going the short trip from Manchester to Merseyside, and we're going to the red half of Merseyside. We're going to Liverpool, and you've just mentioned him. He missed an awful lot of last season with a very bad knee injury as a result of a shocking challenge from Jordan Pickford. I would say it was bordering on an assault. And to be honest with you, he's probably the reason why Liverpool meekly surrendered their Premier League that they won so impressively the season before, because this guy is just so pivotal to the way they play. He's the best one-on-one defender that I've seen in a long time, and his name's Virgil van Dijk.
Yeah, he's made, you know, all three of you guys is starting lineup. I believe he's the best centre back in the world. I would describe him as a Rolls Royce, and I mean, the fact that you've got Diaz and Van Dijk, you know, you've overlooked, like, I mean, the two others picked De Bruyne, who, you know, like but you've actually gone, you know what? I want to be world class at the back. You understand? So
keep the door shut at the back.
Yeah. So like I said, I did say to Charlie, I feel Varane, but I kind of not over. I just didn't even. I don't know why. So I'm not going to like backtrack. But you know, it's either, you know, Van Dijk and Varane, or Diaz and and he's younger as well, isn't he? So he's still got probably a little bit more improvement to go. So he's going to be, you know, a top player. So that as a partnership is fantastic, man. And you know, like any club in the world would dream of having Van Dijk and Ruben Diaz as a centre back pairing. And you, Gatesy, are the manager of that centre back pairing.
There you go. They're in.
All right. So what club are we going to for your left?
We are going to the red half of North London. We are going to the Emirates Stadium, Arsenal.
1 second.
And we are getting a young Scottish fullback, formerly from Celtic, by the name of Kieran Tierney. Again, first season in the Premier League was last season, and he played in a bang average Arsenal team, and he shone. Every time I saw him, he looked very, very good. Defensively, offensively. He's still quite young, so he's nowhere near his peak. I think his peak is still quite a way off in the distance, but my goodness, he's mightily impressive. Left fullback, and obviously I had to pick someone from Arsenal. I wanted to make sure that I had a good blend of defensive solidity on my back four, and I have gone the formation, in case anybody's wondering.
I was about to say that,
so I've gone 4 at the back. I wanted to make sure that my back line was, like I say, as watertight as I could get it, but at the same time that they're able to, when the time is right, they're able to sort of push on. And Tierney is a very offensive fullback as well, so you know he'll get down the left flank, he'll test his opposite number and get decent balls into the box for my strikers and the sort of like the late arriving midfielders to profit on. So Kieran Tierney.
Okay, so as Gatesy just said, and I was waiting for you to speak because I know I interrupted. I'm very high practice. I was waiting, but you said it. He's playing a 4-3-3. The other two played a 4-2-1-3 formation, but Gatesy's gone, you know, different, and it's a 4-3-3. Right. So what we would do is we will move on to your deep line of the three. So your defensive midfielder. Which club, first of all?
I think that probably people would say he's probably the deep lying one of the three, but I think that these three could rotate. and they could swap roles. To be honest, my midfield three and my front three, I think, are very, very fluid. I think they can all interchange, and move around and cause all sorts of havoc for, the players that are marking them. It's like, well, who's going to go? Do you want me to go there because he's now pulled over there? Just cause absolute mayhem. But I'm going to go with, I'm going to go to our very beloved, our very own West Ham United. Yeah. And you've probably all worked out who I'm picking. And I make no apologies for it. Not after yesterday. No, I make no apologies. I'm picking in the absence of Mark Noble, our captain and our heartbeat, Mr. Declan Rice. I honestly think this guy is getting better by the month, certainly by the season. I think I'm running out of superlatives for this guy. Whether he's here for another season, another 2 seasons, who knows? I'm enjoying him while we've got him in claret and blue. The guy is, I would suggest he is world class now. Probably the one thing that he needs to add more consistently to his game is probably goals. But you can see that even that's starting to develop and evolve. And Declan Rice for me, I don't think that there's a team that he wouldn't walk into in world football and probably improve it, or at the very least hold his own and not be any worse than the player that he's replaced.
Yeah. I know I said I'm not going to elaborate, but the other 2 picks too foul. So now that you've picked Declan Rice, I would just like to say my part is that I agree with everything you say. And I think because of the position he plays, goals is not necessarily something that he has to add to his game, but I think that we look at him and think, you know what, you're capable of getting goals. You understand? So
yeah,
if he can add that to his game, then for me that could well add a little more value to his already high price tag. Because like I said, in his position, it's not one of the stipulations that you should be getting goal. We just look at this guy and say, because of your attributes and because of your composure, because of your speed, because of your drive, we feel that, you know what, you could be getting 5-7 goals a season.
Thing is, I don't think that he is a purely defensive midfielder anymore. I think he is now the complete central midfielder. I've said that, for years people described his position as the Makalele position. Claude Makalele, was a world-class operator at what he did, which was basically to provide a shield for the back line of Real Madrid, of Chelsea, of France, whatever. He'd break the play up, he'd protect the back four, break the play up, and then give the ball to the offensive midfielders to let them play and score goals. And he did it magnificently. Declan Rice can do that, but he's also got a lot more in his armory as far as I'm concerned. He is able to make the forays up the pitch, as we saw against Dinamo Zagreb, as we saw against Southampton on the last game of last season. He's able to make these lung-busting runs from deep into the opposition final third. And he's actually now developing a killer instinct in front of goal. I think he's still a couple of years away from really hitting his peak. I mean, he's still only 22. There's an awful lot more development to come. But seriously, he could be one of England's great central midfielders, in my opinion, if he continues on this trajectory for the next 5 years or so.
So you described him as, an all-round midfielder. I would add to that, and I've said this, I don't know if it is on whoever's edition it was, but I feel that even right now, I feel that he's better than a lot of the spoken about centre-backs. I think if he played centre-back, and when we played Leicester, before we played them, I was going to say, I think I was on West Ham Random, but I was going to say, if we played, it didn't happen, but I was saying if we played Declan Rice centre back, Jamie Vardy won't get a sniff. That's what I drew. We didn't play him there, obviously, but I'm saying that's how much confidence I have in this guy as a centre back because of what we see him doing in midfield. So I just think that, yes, offensively, he's better than a defensive midfielder. He's a phenomenal defensive midfielder. He's a phenomenal centre midfielder. And I genuinely believe that he's a very, very good centre back as well. So I just think this guy is like the complete central player. That you understand, starting from great player and a great pick, obviously. First time someone's picked Rice from West Ham. Yeah. So let's say, but just for the purpose of the video, who is your right-sided central midfielder?
We're going
back where we're going. Sorry, yeah,
we're going back to the Midlands. We're going to Leicester City, the Foxes. Brendan Rodgers.
Boom.
So there we are, King Power Stadium. Now, I think that a lot of people during the course of last season, especially in claret and blue tinted spectacles, said that Declan Rice and Thomas Souček were arguably the best midfield in the Premier League, or at least one of them. But another midfield pairing that came up an awful lot in dispatches when Rice and Souček were mentioned were Yuri Tielemans and Wilfred Ndidi. So I have decided to go for one of those two, and I've gone for Yuri Tielemans, who scored the winning goal in the FA Cup final last season.
And why else did you pick him?
Class operator. I mean, you don't play for a team that I don't know whether they still are, and obviously, you know, how much notice you take of FIFA world rankings is up to you. But I mean, Belgium are a quality team, and he walks into that team, into it, no problem at all. The guy is absolute top quality player. He's got all the skills you need and more to excel in Premier League football and to excel in international football. And I would absolutely have him in my midfield in a heartbeat. And I have. There he is.
Yeah. Just going back to Charlie, boys. I didn't know he scored beforehand. And when he said, "Oh, Leicester," I was like, "Oh yeah, I know." And I was like, "Yeah, he's from Belgium." He said, "No," and then he picked Ndidi. But first thing that sprung to mind was Tielemans. So he's a classy player, man. And I know his contract is up in the summer. And
is it?
Yeah. So he's saying, boy, he's keeping his options open. So I think he would have his pick of clubs, you know, around the world and in the Premier League because he's that good.
I think he could walk into Barcelona, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, Manchester City, Paris Saint-Germain, any club across Europe he could literally walk into. He could have his pick of it. Not a problem.
So your midfield's looking very, very tasty already. Which club are we going to complete that 3-man midfield?
We're going to Southwest London. We are going to Stamford Bridge. We're going to the current European champions. And I'm going to put in midfield alongside Rice and Tielemans. I'm going to put Rice's best mate. I'm going to put Mason Mount, young English talent, very, very versatile. You know, he can play in a midfield. He can actually be deployed a little bit further up, just slightly deeper of the strikers or striker, depending upon what formation you're playing. Really, really versatile. He's honed his skills. You know, he went out on loan to Derby in the Championship when Frank Lampard was the manager there. He excelled there. He came back to Chelsea, and you're thinking, okay, you've done it in the Championship. You know, show us what you got in the Premier League. And he has. The guy is a quality operator. You know, he's a European champion with his club. I personally think that Chelsea are probably going to be Premier League champions this season, and I think he's going to be a massive, massive part of that.
He can also play on the left of a front three as well, can't he?
Yeah, he's very, very versatile. Like I say, he's another player. Again, I've tried to pick players that have got a very broad skill set, and Mason Mount, I think it fits that bill perfectly.
Okay. Yeah, he's a great pick. Goals, creativity, work rate.
Yeah.
Best friends with Declan Rice. So no, but that's a quality midfield three that, you know, most Premier League clubs would be very, very, very happy with. So I like that blend in there. Right, just to finish this off, we're gonna go to your right wing or right-sided forward player. Which club are we going to for that guy?
We're going to the blue half of Merseyside, Titch. We are going to Goodison Park, the Toffees, Everton.
Okay.
And we are, again, I had to think, you know, right, who do I put there? There was a couple of players I could have gone for. This is a player that I appreciate he can sometimes be a little bit flaky. Sometimes you watch him and you know, if he's on a bad day, it's like, don't really think much of him. But to be honest with you, I've seen him play and he can be absolutely devastating on his day. He's Brazilian. His name is Richarlison, formerly of Watford. I remember seeing him play for Watford, and yeah, he impressed me there. Like I say, I've seen some games where he's been off colour, not quite sort of at it, but when he hits his straps, oh, good luck.
I'm glad you mentioned actually, because I should have mentioned that somewhere in the video. We are picking, you know, for this, the best version of that player. So when you pick Richarlison, you're picking Richarlison, you know, at his optimum.
Yeah.
So
10 out of 10,
yeah,
Richarlison.
yeah. So yeah, you know, the best version of him currently. So
yeah,
yeah. So he's a threat.
You know,
he's now, you know, he's now
operates
in the
wide
Brazil
mainly, but he can come in central. He can score goals. He can create goals. He's got great deal of pace, strength, trickery. Like I say, Brazilian. So you know that sort of like that style of football, the sort of like the flair. You know, it's bred into them from a young age. And like I say, I when he's the best version of Richarlison, I love watching him play. To be honest, I think he's a fantastic player.
The one criticism I would have of Richarlison is his haircut. I don't know if his girlfriend cuts his hair. It looks like his girlfriend doesn't want him to, you know, be attractive to the opposite sex. It looks like she sticks a bowl on his head and cuts around it. And sometimes that ain't straight. Like his haircuts are shocking. Like his girlfriend must do it just to keep him as unattractive.
Maybe they had a really poor upbringing back home in a favela in Brazil, and you know, it's just something that he got used to, having crap haircuts as a kid.
Wow.
And he just likes it. I don't know, even despite the fact he's now a multi-millionaire.
Exactly, it's shocking. His haircuts are bad.
I've always had it like this. He says
the lineup is it's horrible. We're gonna go to your left-sided forward player. So tell me, it's right here anyway. Which club?
We're going across the Pennines. We're going to Yorkshire. We're going to Leeds United. Now, again, I'm Denard over this. Who could I put there? And again, I mean, I could have put Bamford there. I could have put a number of players there. But I wanted a guy that has a bit of pace. Again, you know, my two wide forwards, obviously Richarlison's one, and this guy is a similar type of player in that, you know, he's got a great deal of pace. He's got a great deal of trickery. He actually went there from Manchester United, and you've probably worked out who it is. His name's Daniel James, Welsh international. I know he's someone that polarizes opinions. Some people think that he's not all that much of a player. I think he's cracking. I really do. I think he's a real talent. You know, again, would I take him at West Ham? You're damn right I would. So, you know, I would get Daniel James in my starting 11. He's on the wide, as I say. You got Richarlison one side, you got Daniel James the other. Yeah, good luck with that, fullbacks. Crack on with that.
Right. So now I'm going to jump in and almost critique. What's the left-footed Brazilian guy for Leeds? I've just his name gone.
Rafinha.
Yeah. Would you not have gone Rafinha over?
I did toy with it. As I say, I could have gone Bamford. I could have gone Rafinha. But in the end, I don't know. There's just something about Daniel James that I actually quite enjoy watching him play when he's at full flow.
The reason why I say that is because predominantly Richarlison plays on the left. And Rafinha plays on the right.
Yep.
So you would have had those two Brazilians playing where they play. But obviously, yeah, this football's about opinions. And I understand with James, like his pace is ridiculous. He can dribble. He's got a very low center of gravity as well. And I spoke to, you know, any Man United fans I spoke to, I just said, for me, he's not a Manchester United player. He just wasn't. That doesn't mean he's not, you know, a good player. But for me, just wasn't a Manchester United player. Leeds have finally got their guy. And yeah, that pace is frightening. And someone like that, maybe, you know, being a bigger fish in a smaller pond at Leeds, we may well see, you know, and, you know, consistency is key in football, and he might, you know, get a proper run of games, and we might see, you know, probably the best version of Daniel James at Leeds.
Fingers crossed.
So, We're
There's one
down to
team left, isn't there? I think everybody's probably worked out who this player is just from the fact that it's our friends from Tottenham Hotspur.
Right, let's get them on the screen.
I couldn't leave this guy out. I mean, if I want my team to be competitive, if I want my team to be getting results, I cannot leave Harry Kane out. I absolutely cannot leave last season's Premier League top goal scorer and the top assist maker. I can't leave him out, can I? England captain. You know, whatever you want to say, and I know you do a blinding impression of him, Titch, don't you?
I'll try.
Go on.
Yeah, okay, so I'm not firing on those cylinders because I don't want to be here. Daniel Levy's keeping me, so I'm on strike. I'm not going to score any goals. I tell you, I got my move to Man City. Yeah.
Oh, I love you, Titch. But yeah, I mean, you know, there's nothing. There's no. I think that it's either Kane or Lewandowski who's the best striker in Europe. I mean, he can do everything. This guy. I mean, he can drop deep. You know, he pulls wide. He can go in behind. You know, he's got everything. The only thing that I think can stop him becoming the all-time Premier League top goal scorer and breaking Alan Shearer's record of, I think is it 260 goals, I believe?
260, yes.
Yeah, I think the only thing that could stop him getting that record would be either if he decided to go abroad or injury, God forbid. I mean, I know he's obviously had a lot of ankle injuries down the years, and each time he sort of gets an ankle injury, it seems to take him a little bit longer to recover. But the guy is a phenomenal striker. Like I say, he's a Tottenham player, and obviously it kind of sticks in my throat a little bit to have to sort of say that the Tottenham number 9, and you know, but he's England's captain, so you know, it kind of softens the blow a little bit. You know, I've got a lot of respect for him when he's obviously in an England shirt with the armband on. You know, he's representing his country. He's the top man. Whether you think he should be or not is neither here nor there. The manager thinks he is. And like I say, I don't really see, you know, if you want to talk about sort of proper number 9s that have got it all, you know, if there's anyone that's better than him in Europe, it's a pretty short list. It's a pretty short list.
You know, you said, you know, the two things that could stop him getting that Alan Shearer's record is injuries and going abroad. I would add to that, staying at Tottenham is also going to hinder that, because I know we're picking the best version, but we can clearly see he's not happy there. He's not performing, and you know, football is very psychological as well. And yeah, I think that he needs to make that move. You know, if you go City, he's guaranteed to. Look, sorry, you said he got the most goals and most assists at Tottenham last season. They finished 8th, so you put him in City's team, then he's 100% going to get them, you know, at least what he got for Spurs. Because so he needs to make that move, and the sooner he does it, the more chance he's got of you know, beating Shearer's record as well. So yeah, anybody out there, get me out of it, man. Yeah, obviously, Pep, come back in for me. Yeah, so yeah, obviously, get me out of it.
Superb.
Right.
Superb.
You know what we're going to do? We're going to, as I always do, we're now going to go just quickly, go back to your bench, and then we're going to go back to your team. I'll put that on the screen, and we've kept it, you know, short as I wanted within the hour. So yeah, obviously, yeah. So right, and this is not that. I might just do it like randomly, speaking to a stranger. Like, what the hell is wrong with this guy? Right.
You might be right. It might be an Arsenal fan that you're talking to, and they'll be in hysterics.
Yeah. Well, they might.
Then again, it could be a Tottenham fan, and they start a fight with you.
They might think I'm Harry Kane in a mask and beat me up. It's really him. It's him. I can tell that voice anywhere. Right, let's go all the way back to the start of the video. We're going to go to your substitutes bench, because this is a squad thing. We are trying to put ourselves in manager's mode. We're trying to pick a Premier League squad that, if everybody's squad were 20 man, how would your squad fare against current Premier Leagues? No, not current, because that's not fair. How would your squad fare against anybody else that does this challenge if Premier League squads were only 20 players rather than 25 or what they are? So we'll go all the way back. Your substitute goalkeeper is Nick Pope from Burnley.
Yep.
And what I will say about your bench, I noticed your bench is very balanced in regards to positions on the pitch. So
Yep.
you've picked Crystal Palace right back Tariq Mitchell.
Yep.
You've gone for your centre back is Wolves captain and England international Connor Cody.
Yep.
You've also got a left back. So you've got a goalkeeper, obviously, right back, centre back, left back. So you've got the back line covered. You've got former England international Danny Rose.
Yep.
Then you've gone for I think it's a box-to-box midfielder.
Holding / box-to-box. Yeah, he can tick both boxes, can't he? Really?
Yeah, but all right. Primarily, he's let's say a holding midfielder.
Yeah.
In Yves Bissouma, and like I said, the last two people that done this, I kind of like Diaz. I kind of forgot about this guy, and this guy he's actually probably their best player. Him and Lamptey. So that's a great pick. So you've got a holding midfielder. Then your next pick is from Southampton, who is probably going to be most people's picks. He is how would you describe him? He's a midfielder. How would you describe him?
Central mid, but he can play sort of like I think he can be deployed wide and maybe sort of like just behind the striker. Again, quite versatile.
Right. So
we predominantly a central mid, I'd say.
Right. So we say a creative centre midfielder who is a set piece expert.
Yeah.
So once again, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 players, completely different players, but balanced in regards to where they play on the pitch. Then you've gone for Newcastle, in my opinion, their best player. And I think the common denominator is this guy could probably start in everybody's teams as well. Could he start over Daniel James? Yes. Could he start over Richarlison? Yes. So he's a top quality player, and we're
great
picking the
substitute
best version
to bring on.
Yes, great.
Last 20-30 minutes, your opposition legs are tiring. Oh, we're bringing on this guy, speed merchant. Oh my goodness,
tricks, and we're bringing on the best version of Saint Maximin. So
yeah,
once again, you've now got a player that can play either flank. He can play as a 10 as well. So you've kind of got, all right, you ain't got a right wing and a left winger, but this guy can play either. So you've kind of ticked that box as well, which I think you've probably done on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Professional and attention to detail. Right, Norwich, you've picked Todd Cantwell. How would you describe him as
again, sort of like
player?
A midfield come offensive, attacking midfielder type player, a playmaker, a number 10.
A cam, as they say now, yeah?
A cam.
So he's different to Basuma, he's different to Ward-Prowse, and they all play centrally. So that's another box tick. The only box then would need ticking in your subs in position would be a striker. And you've gone for Brentford's Ivan Toney.
Box ticked.
So as the other two guys. So, and as soon as I saw you when you sent me, I thought, you know what? These substitutes, Ben, you've literally every position is covered. So it is fully balanced. You're not heavy on one position. So you've done a great job there, and it doesn't surprise me. Like I said to Peach, like I can't wait for Gatesy to do this because I don't know, but I know enough of you to know like you're gonna try and be
sit
diligent
down and work it out. Yeah,
and that's what you want. You can't just skip through this. You got to put some thought into it. Right now we'll move on to your starting lineup. You've got what's Martinez? What's his first name again?
Emiliano.
You've got Emiliano Martinez from Villa, who many people would say was the best goalkeeper in the Premier League last year.
Could you do me a big favour though, Titch?
Yeah.
Could you change the background? Because I'm looking at that to
sorry.
Too long.
You know what?
Too long. Change it, please.
Every time I get to the last team, I forget to do that. So see, this guy is like Mr. Diligent.
I mean, my wife's a Spurs fan, and she was wearing the Spurs shirt yesterday. I had to look at it then.
I'm so glad you.
That's much better. That's much better.
That would have stayed there because now I'm focusing on the phone and the team. And
everyone would have been turning off.
Yeah, sorry about that, people. Sorry. So Villa, Martinez. Many people believe he was the best goalkeeper last year, and obviously he's playing for Villa, who they're a good side, but they finished, I think, 11th. So you put him in a better side. If he's going to have that impact for Villa, what's he going to do in front of? Sorry, I won't mention it, but in front of Gatesy's defense and more so Gatesy's two centre backs. So yeah, you put different players into different teams, and you're going to see a different version of that player. So, no issue with that. You've gone for Aaron Wan-Bissaka as your Man United pick, and he obviously is a right back.
Yep.
once again, you said, you know, he's defensively, you feel he's the best defensive right back that England, you know, have available.
I believe so, yeah.
And I believe that, you know, going forward, when he's on his day, he still creates good opportunities for the forward players. So, and, you know, it's the first time anyone's picked Wan-Bissaka. Now, this is where you have literally done a very, very, very amazing job, actually. Your first centre-back is Ruben Diaz from Manchester City. Came in on his debut season and, you know, filled that void that Company left that they was, you know, searching for, because obviously they was playing Fernandinho and, you know, like just trying to find the right player there. They went and got him. He's had an instant impact and, you know, they got that title back, you know, in the very next season that they lost it.
Yeah.
So he had a major impact on Manchester City. Another player who has a major effect on his team and is proven when he's not in the team is your second centre-back who plays for Liverpool and is obviously Virgil van Dijk. You know, when you look back, even in, you know, we already know now, but I'm saying when you look back in history and people will say, look what they've done with him when they won the league, when he was out, you know, look at the difference. So that shows you his value to that team. And I believe, and I said this on the last video, that overall, he's Liverpool's best player. And that's, you know, that's including Alisson, that's including Salah, that's including Mane. Overall, because of what he brings to the team, he is their best player.
Yeah,
I believe. Then we've moved on to your left back. And that left back comes from Arsenal. So Gatesy is the first person to pick an Arsenal player as in his starting team. And that is Scottish international Kieran Tierney, who on his day, and this is the best version, he is a very, very good left back. He adds something offensively as well. So I think Kieran Tierney, not in Arsenal and in Gatesy's squad, would fit into that squad seamlessly and you know, would show people, you know, like what he's all about. And it was hard in that struggling Arsenal team last season. So you've got a solid bench. You've covered everything on your bench. And then when we go to your back line, which is including your goalkeeper, I think you've got a fantastic back line there. Now, we move on to your midfield three, which I probably... I like this the most. You've gone, obviously, your, let's say, deep lying, or maybe the one who might be the more defensive, Declan Rice. No words needed, no explanation needed. Guaranteed England starter, and, you know, a future England captain. He's got all the credentials to be a England captain. I don't know. I don't want to take too long. Then we've got Yuri Tillemans, Belgium international, quality player, class player. He's almost like, for me, like the midfield version of Virgil van Dijk. He's just, and I mean, as in, like, he's classy. Yeah,
that's
like,
a good analogy. I like that.
Yeah. So I really rate him. I really like him, and, you know, in this midfield, that midfield is mouth-watering. Playing alongside them is obviously Mason Mount, who, you know, I think some people sort of questioned his credentials when he was at Derby, and they thought, you know, Lampard's just bringing Chelsea people to his team. And you know, he's another one that he's had to prove to people what he's all about. And as well as all his natural ability or you know, the things that stand out, he works hard as well. And you always want a hard worker in your team. So that midfield three is delicious. That's what I call it, delicious. Moving on to your front three. On the right, you've got Richarlison from Everton, who on his day is a fantastic player. He's a problem. He scores goals. He works hard. He's got tricks. He's now a Brazilian, you know, a full Brazilian international, as in, like, you know, he's probably going to start most of their games. So playing alongside the likes of Neymar and, you know, and the like. So he's up there mixing it, rubbing shoulders with the best of them. And he's a proven Premier League goal scorer, proven Premier League player. And, you know, if Everton don't have a great season, then I could see him moving on next season if they don't have a great season this season. Your left side, you've gone for Daniel James from Leeds, who, like you said, he polarizes opinion. I said it already, what I feel about him. And I just think, like I said, you put certain players into certain teams and you'll see a different version of them. He's got, you know, attributes that people would die for, in that pace, the dribbling. He scores goals. He's a World International, and he's a major player for Wales. So I think Leeds have smart business for them, and I think they're going to reap the reward. And, you know, his experience at Man United will make him a better player. Then finally, from Gatesy's second favorite club, Spurs.
Eddie.
That's a joke. We have obviously the best striker in the Premier League, the best striker probably the last maybe 3 or 4 years. He's probably been the best striker. You know, once Aguero picked up injuries and whatnot, as a striker, as a number 9, he then was the clear standout. You know, he's the best striker in the Premier League, and that's been, I don't know, 3-4 seasons or whatever. So his goals ratio speaks for itself. His assist as well. And this is the best version of him. He's England's captain. He's probably going to be England's all-time record goal scorer when his career is finished. So, yes, he's Spurs. Yeah, speaks like that. And obviously, we can't understand it all the time. But we can't deny that he's a great striker. And you know what? He scores all types of goals. Headers, poachers goals, bangers from outside the box with either foot. Like, he scores all types of goals. And yeah, like, you have to respect him, man. You really do. And there's no denying. You know, Lukaku's there now as well. So, you know, but I'm saying for the last 3 or 4 seasons, he's been that standout guy. And yeah, he's definitely up there in the top 5 strikers in the world.
Yeah. I think it's between him and Lewandowski. I mean, obviously you've got Haaland that is making a name for himself at Dortmund, but Lukaku as well you could bring into the conversation. But I think that for me it's a toss up between Lewandowski and Kane in my opinion.
So yeah, I'm going to put all of that information on the screen, obviously, and we're going to wrap this up. I'm going to just say my piece, and then I'm going to hand it over to Gatesy. What I'd like to say is Gatesy is working very, very hard, and it's now 10:20. He just finished. Was it a live stream? I was watching some
it was.
Or was it pre-record? It was a live stream.
Okay. It was a live stream.
So he's just done a live stream. He just, you know, had to have his dinner straight after, literally 10 minutes. And then he's jumped on. And I said it on Fever's one. I'm very appreciative of people giving up their time. I don't take YouTube seriously, but I do take this concept. This is my concept. I come up with this, and you know, people that take part would say, you know what, that is a good concept. It's a good thing. So, you know, I do take this seriously, and I want people on here that's kind of going to bring something to the table. And I knew Gatesy would do, and he definitely has done that. And I appreciate you coming on, but like I said, I know that, you know, your time is of the essence now. So with that being said, Gatesy is close to 1,000 subscribers. I said this already, and people, if you don't know, 1,000 subscribers is, you know, like the starting point on YouTube. Everything before that is like where you've got to put in the groundwork. 1,000 subscribers, and then you want to try and build. He's very close to that, and his growth has been how can I put this? You know, like his growth has reflected the work he's put in, because it's not easy. Trust me. Like, even to get to 100 subscribers, then the next one, whatever it may be, like, it's not easy. So Gatesy's and Duke, because it's forward from Iron, but Gatesy's on the show. So I'm going to say, yeah, like both of them. But I'm going to say, I'm speaking to Gatesy now. Gatesy's put in a lot of work, and you know, I always say, like, please, like, anybody that watches my videos, and I'm not very active, and you know, I don't upload often, and I just hope that people that watch this and are subscribed to me and are not subscribed from Forge from Iron, you go and do that. Like, especially, you know, obviously the West Ham fans, because he's Mr. West Ham. Everything he covers is West Ham and up to date and all of that. So please subscribe to Forge from Iron. Now, Gatesy, one more time, just, you know, promote your channel once again, and then we'll wrap this up.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad you obviously, because as I say, it isn't just me. It's Duke. Milesy's been involved. Jazz has been involved. We've got yourself has come on, and Peach, and lots of other people have been a part of the journey of Forge from Iron on YouTube. And I don't know how long. I mean, we set it up in February, and we were like, this could last a week. It might last a month. It might last a year. We don't know, and we still don't know. To be perfectly honest with you, we just take it day by day, week by week, month by month, and we're just enjoying the ride. And all the time we enjoy it, we'll carry on. The one thing that is a common theme, if any of you that are watching have not seen any of our streams, one of the things that we always try and shine a light on is that there is a young girl. Her name is Isla Caton. and she is battling a cancer called neuroblastoma. Now, the reason why I'm just this sort of gives this is just a little bit about me. The reason I'm so passionate about it is because I've actually got a good friend of mine whose daughter had the very same cancer that this little girl has got. Sadly, it didn't end very well for her. She was 9 years of age when her body just couldn't fight it anymore. She fought it for 5 years. Went into remission for a bit. It then came back with a vengeance, and like I say, she didn't last out. And I want to try and if I've got anything to do with it, try and raise a bit of awareness. Hopefully, try and get people to have a think about maybe putting a few coins into the fighting fund, because the thing is that she's the treatment's not available in the UK, so they've not just got to pay for the treatment itself. They've got to obviously pay for, transportation, usually air flights to wherever it is in the world. Once they're there, they've then got to pay for accommodation. Once they're there, they've obviously got living costs. I mean, they need to eat, and things like that. The bills are still going to be piling up in the UK. So we're always trying to say to people, even if all you do is, because we always have it in the description below YouTube and Facebook, which people can copy and paste. And I always say to people, even if all you do is copy and paste it and put it on your social media platform and put a little note on it as to what the appeal is about, just to get a little bit of traction going, a little bit of awareness that, I mean, we're the 5th biggest economy in the world, I believe. And in my opinion, this shouldn't be happening. A little 6-year-old girl and her family have been forced into a position where they've literally got to get the begging bowl out. I find it quite ridiculous, if I'm being brutally honest. But, be that as it may, like I say, the fact is that is where we are, and this family need help. So I'm very passionate about that all the time I've got anything to do with it, I'll always try and bang the drum and hopefully get a little bit of support for this family. It's a Just Giving link. It's for the Bradley Lowry Foundation, and if the name rings a bell, he's the young lad that Jermaine Defoe
Sunderland
was. Just Giving link where you can go and, like I say, make a donation to whether it's £1, whether it's £10, whether it's £100, whatever is comfortable for the individual. There's no amount that this family will look at and go, we don't appreciate it. They will appreciate every single copper coin you can give.
Okay, so I'm gonna put the link in the description, but also what I'm going to do is the link to donate to Isla. I'm going to take this part of the video and put it at the start because some people don't watch till the end. So I'm going to do that. So there's nothing else now more to say on what we've just done. It was a great video as always. It was great to have you on it, and I would like to say on air that I know he's busy, and that is I want to get Duke on here doing the same thing as you. So please have a word with him.
I will.
I definitely want to do that. And thanks for coming on. Thanks for
you're very welcome.
Great squad. Thanks for giving up your time.
No, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
No, man, it's my pleasure. And I think, especially for all the West Ham fans out there, there's only one thing to say, Gatesy. What is that, mate?
Come on, you Irons.
Come on, you Irons.